How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV. FA Cup 4th round weekend, and in this video we'll be previewing the game between Brighton and Chelsea. You may have noticed that there is no prediction show for all of the other games this weekend, and the reason for that is simply because there are just too many games in the FA Cup 4th round, and as you'll probably see from my predicted lineup, it's actually quite difficult to predict kind of who's going to be playing, especially for maybe some of the bigger teams, even, for the lesser teams to an extent as well. I'd be here for an hour trying to go through all the games. So we'll be doing the prediction show for the Premier League games next week. And maybe, as the competition progresses, we'll do some predictions for the FA Cup in the latter rounds. So, Brighton versus Chelsea, first of a double header against Brighton away from home. Now, we had a similar situation against Newcastle earlier in the season where we played them at Stamford Bridge in the league, and then we went to St James's Park in the League Cup, and we lost that game and we won 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully history doesn't repeat itself and hopefully we win both games, but I think it will be trickier than some people may think. Now, obviously, last time out, Brighton got absolutely demolished by Nottingham Forest 7-0, and that was off the back of Forest themselves losing 5-0, so quite an astonishing turnaround, really. I did predict for Forest to win that game, but I definitely didn't see a 7-0 scoreline coming. And look, Brighton have got quite a few injuries at this moment in time. I think Baleba and Ayari are out, who are two of their main midfield players. I think João Pedro may be out as well as Purvis Estupiñán. So obviously we've got our injury problems as well, but Brighton have too. So that makes it, I guess a little bit easier because we're not going there against a full strength Brighton potentially. But it will still be a very tough game, I think, because we've almost become Brighton's second most hated team after Crystal Palace. And probably quite understandably so, after, nicking a lot of their players, taking Graham Potter out of the club, which, again, they're probably thanking us for now, and a number of other key members of staff. So, they really don't particularly like us. Obviously, it's a night game under the lights, the same as it will be the following week. So I expect it to be, a red-hot atmosphere. I expect them to be really, really up for it and wanting to, atone somewhat for that 7-0 loss. So even though, again, as I say, they've got some injury issues, I think it will be a really, really tough game and, quite a tough one to call because, as we saw on Monday against West Ham, we won the game and it was an important 3 points, but we're just not playing very well at the moment. We're not playing with the same, confidence and zip and panache that we were a few months ago. And part of that, I think, maybe is a little bit of a lack of confidence after some bad results. Obviously, we've still got a young team and we're maturing, and I think naturally, we're always going to have a dip. I didn't personally buy into the fact that we could challenge for the title. And also, we've had a few injuries accumulate recently, and that obviously makes it a bit tougher too. Now, from our own perspective, in terms of team news, now, Maresca confirmed today that Mark Guiu is out, and he could be out for a little while, and I had him actually earmarked to start this game. I thought he was very impressive when he came on against West Ham. He didn't obviously, have any shots really, or look like he was going to score a goal, but he put himself about. He had some really nice touches in and around the box, linking play. So I had him earmarked to start this game. But he's out. He's out for a little while. And Nicholas Jackson is also a doubt for this game. Now, Maresca said in his press conference that Jackson would be a risk to play. He may be available, but given the kind of language that Maresca used, I just can't see him starting this game, which means that it will be Christopher Nkunku up front in all likelihood, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously Nkunku has his merits as a player. He's obviously struggled a bit this season for game time, which isn't necessarily his fault. But when he has played, particularly, when he's come on in the Premier League or in bigger games, forget the Conference League because, the standard of teams in that competition aren't great. But he's really failed to impress. He's failed to impose himself on the game. Doesn't look bothered a lot of the time. Even when he came on against West Ham on Monday, he just didn't really look up to task. And the one thing with Nkunku is he's not going to run in behind that Brighton defence. Now, when we played Brighton at Stamford Bridge earlier this season, everyone remembers the 4 goals from Cole Palmer. Those were the headlines from the game. But the amount of times we actually got in behind Brighton for, 1-on-1 chances, Jackson, Madueke, caused them all sorts of problems. if we have Nkunku up front, we're just not going to have that pace to be able to stretch them, which I think, again, makes the game a lot more difficult than it may well have been if Jackson or Guiu were fit. Now, maybe Jackson will be on the bench, but I'll be shocked if he starts, because from the language, again, Maresca used, I think he's probably going to prioritise the league game, which, again, for me, I want to see us go as strong as we can in the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. The FA Cup's a special competition for Chelsea. I mean, I think we've only Manchester United and Arsenal have won it more times than us. We've obviously got to quite a few finals in recent years and lost all of them, and it'd be great to get to Wembley and actually win one of those finals. And look, we went out of the League Cup in quite meek fashion, and I really want to see us attack the FA Cup and give it a good go and try and get to Wembley. Because, look, the game's all about glory, right? The game's all about winning trophies, or at least being in the mix. And look, the Conference League is the Conference League. I don't really kind of factor that in, because we have to win that competition. Simply, we have to win that competition. It'd be embarrassing if we don't. But I really want us to have a good crack at the FA Cup this year. So I hope we go strong. But I do think Maresca is prioritising top four. And given the fact that we've let a few players go, the squad's a bit weaker and we've got a few injuries, I'd be quite surprised if we go really strong in this game. So I'm going to give my predicted lineup based on what I think Maresca will pick, not necessarily what I would pick. So in goal, it must be a really interesting one, really, because obviously Philip Jorgensen has been playing in the Cups and Sanchez has been playing in the league. But given Robert Sanchez's form recently, the fact that Jorgensen came in on Monday, will he start him again in the Cup? And is that an indication that Jorgensen will remain the cup keeper and Sanchez comes in? Or is it an indication, if Jorgensen does play, that Maresca's lost all confidence in Sanchez, or maybe Sanchez, just isn't ready to start the game and isn't in the right frame of mind? And obviously he'll be going back to his former club and he'll get a lot of stick inevitably. So I'm not sure that will help the situation, but I do have a feeling he will start Robert Sanchez and that Jorgensen will play in the league game next week. So I think Robert Sanchez will be in goal. At right back, now I expect a little bit of rotation in the back four. I think Josh Achimpong may well start at right back. Now, obviously, Josh did really, really well when he played against Crystal Palace about a month or so ago, and he then played against Bournemouth. I thought he did okay for the majority of the game, but did get caught a little bit for Bournemouth's second goal when he was substituted. We haven't actually seen him since then, but I think this will be a game that Maresca will bring him back in. I can't see Reece James playing. I think this will maybe be a good time to give him a break. So I think Josh Achimpong may well play at right back. At centre back, I think it will be Trevor Chalobah and Tosin. Now, I think, just to give Levi Colwill a bit of a rest, he's had a difficult couple of weeks. Obviously, he was very, very poor against West Ham and made that big mistake that led to Jarrod Bowen scoring. And I just feel that maybe Maresca may take him out the firing line for this one. I expect him to start in the league game, but I think it may well be Trevor Chalobah and Tosin at centre-back. And to be fair, when they both played against Wolves recently, they did pretty well. So, I wouldn't have too many qualms about that. At left-back, now, I think he may well play Malo Gusto, because if he's not going to play right-back, he'll definitely be playing in this game, I feel. So he'll play at left-back, in my opinion. I think Maresca may well give Cucurella a rest. Now, I'd love to see Cucurella playing. I thought he was brilliant on Monday again, and I think he's having a really, really good season. But I think, again, Maresca will rotate at the back, so I can see Malo Gusto playing at left back. Now, in midfield, we just really don't have many options, do we? Matisse Asugo has obviously come in. I can't really see him being thrown straight into the deep end here. I know he's been added to the Conference League squad, and he may well be on the bench to get some minutes, but I can't see him starting the game. So I think he will start with Moises Caicedo. Now, obviously, Romeo Lavia is not fit. He's injured. He's going to be out for a little while, according to Maresca. So Caicedo really has to play, because we have absolutely no one that can fulfil that role like he can. Ideally, you're playing against a lower league team and you can rest him and maybe bring someone like, Sam Raksaki or even throw Asugo in, but I don't think this is the game for that. And I think next to him will be Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. I think Enzo Fernandez may well have a bit of a rest. He obviously had a bit of an injury recently as well, and missed the Wolves game, but obviously needs must dictated that he's had to play against Man City and then West Ham. and I expect him maybe to be given a breather or be on the bench. So in midfield, Caicedo and Dewsbury Hall is what I think it will be. Now, at left wing, I think Maresca will go with Tyreek George. Now, I think Tyreek did really, really well when he last played against Morecambe. Got a couple of assists, looked really, really bright, and has, done himself, no harm in the Conference League. And I think Maresca, again, as I said, is going to want to rotate the team. So I think Tyreek may come in at left wing. Obviously, no Mykhailo Mudryk for the foreseeable future. So I think he will be the natural fit there. At right wing, I think this is a lot more simple. Pedro Neto came on and had a really, really great impact against West Ham. Obviously scored a goal. He was really, really busy, harried, and I think against that Brighton kind of high line, he will be really, really useful and a really good weapon to have, considering we probably won't have Nicholas Jackson up there, and his pace will cause them a lot of problems. At number 10, it will be Cole Palmer. I think Maresca will play Cole Palmer in this game. Now, he didn't play in the League Cup, but obviously, at the moment, it is a kind of a case of needs must, right? Obviously, João Felix has gone out on loan. That may well have been a game he would have played in. And obviously, with Jackson potentially out and Guiu definitely out, we've not got really many options that can play at number 10 other than Christopher and Nkunku. But again, going on to my next pick, he will be the centre forward, because I can't see Maresca throwing in Shim Mueka. I believe he's actually playing for the 21s tonight, so he won't be starting, and I don't believe Donnell McNeely either will be given a chance to start up front in this game. Maybe we'll see one of them on the bench, and I would like to see one of them given a go. We've seen it with Arsenal, this season. Miles Lewis-Skelly coming in, 18 years old. Ethan Wanyeri coming in, 17 years old, and they've been absolutely superb. They've been two of Arsenal's best players, to be honest with you. So I would like to see them get some minutes if Jackson and Guiu are out for any length of time, but I don't think that will be the case tomorrow night. So it will be Christopher and Nkunku up front, and hopefully, he performs a little bit better than he has done recently. So yeah, that's my predicted lineup. In terms of the scoreline, it's a really tough one. As I said, I predict Maresca to rotate. Brighton have got a lot of injuries, so whether Hertzler wants to, rest a few players, I'm not sure. I think that they're never in any danger of going down, and I don't think they're going to get Europe, so you will probably want to try and attack this competition. So yeah, I'm not overly confident, but what I am going to predict is 1-1 at full time. And of course, the game will go to extra time and penalties if it is a draw, and Chelsea to win 2-1 in extra time. So yeah, that's my predicted lineup. Chelsea to win 2-1 in extra time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Know what to do, like and subscribe. And yeah, hopefully we are toasting a 5th round FA Cup tie in a couple of days' time.